guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I have the China Glaze Chic Physique collection to share with you today for spring 2018. You can find these at a couple different places online. I did get mine directly from China Glaze as a PR sample, so I'm not entirely sure when they release in like Sally's and stuff and on their website, but I know that it'll be sometime in the month of March. So in the description box below, I will link the China Glaze site as well as their Instagram page, and I will also link my Instagram page where I will have more swatches of this collection. So we do have all 12 polishes to look at today, and let's go ahead and get started. So up first we have Bodysuit Yourself, and this is a bright, hot pink shade, and it does have a pink shimmer running throughout it that is very, very, very subtle. Here's our first coat of Bodysuit Yourself. This goes on really smooth, really evenly. This has a really nice formula. It doesn't want to run or pull. It's not difficult to apply by any means. It also has really good coverage here on this first coat. I can still see through to my nail line just a little bit though, so I am going to go in for a second coat. This one is just really nice and easy to use though. It's also a little bit brighter in person than it is here on camera. So here's our second coat, and this one does cover completely in 2 coats. Depending on your application though, you may end up needing 3 coats. I do tend to go in for a bit of a thicker second coat to get that full coverage. This one also dries decently glossy on its own. I would recommend though a glossy top coat if you want it to last a little bit longer. So there's 2 coats. So up next we have Athlete Chic, and this is a corally, pinky, salmon, bright, beautiful cream shade. Here's our first coat of Athlete Chic. Again, this goes on really nice and smooth. It has a nice formula, no running or pulling or anything like that. I also had a little bit of trouble, I usually do, with China Glaze, getting too much polish on my brush and the polish running down the stem, and then I end up going in for thicker coats than I mean to. But this one did cover completely in 2 coats for me. I'm not going to lie though, I did go in for a third coat after this video because I was looking at my nails after this and I did see some patchiness. So I went in for a third coat here, but I am stopping at 2. So there's 2 coats. Next up we have Pilates Please, and this is an orangey salmon cream. Here's our first coat of Pilates Please. Again, this has a great formula, no running or pulling or anything like that. I am working in extremely thin coats here though because I did have those issues with the polish running down the stem of my brush, so I wanted to make sure I went in for nice normal thinner coats as opposed to thicker coats. This is pretty patchy here in this first coat though, so I am going to go in for a second coat. This is another one that I'm showing 2 coats on video, but I did do 3 coats for my swatch photo. It just looked completely opaque here on 2 coats, but I did go in for a third coat because I was working in such thicker coats, but thinner coats, but if you did work in a little bit thicker coats, 2 would be completely fine. Again, this dries decently glossy on its own, though I would recommend a nice top coat. So there's 2 coats. Oh, never mind. I did do 3 coats. Okay, so here is the third coat of this, and again, this does cover completely in 3 coats. A nice formula, no running, pulling, you know. The same stuff that I've been saying. I'm sorry, I've got a baby on my lap, so. So there's 3 coats. Next up we have Werk It Honey, and this is a bright sunflower yellow cream. It is looking more pastel on my camera than it is in person. Here's our first coat of Werk It Honey. Another nice formula, no running, pulling, staining, anything like that. And this is decently opaque for a yellow cream from from a mainstream brand. These yellows are kind of hard to come across, so this one is actually really impressive. It does take 3 coats for me to be opaque, but I have seen other people get 2 coats for complete opacity. I do try to work in thinner coats as far as China Glaze goes, so I don't have any troubles with the brushes. So if you worked in a little bit thicker coats, 2 coats would probably be just fine for you. I did just see a couple bald spots here. Well, not even bald spots, but like patchiness here with the second coat, so that's why I am going to go in for the third coat. So here's our third coat, and this does cover completely in 3 coats for me. This one, again, dries decently glossy on its own. Like, if you needed to go out the door and you don't have time for a quick dry top coat or a glossy top coat, this would be just fine and be glossy on its own, though if you want it to last anything more than an hour, a top coat is necessary. So there's 3 coats. next we have Activewear Don't Care, and this is a teal jelly polish. Here's our first coat of Activewear Don't Care. And this goes on really smooth and evenly as well. It does apply to me more like a jelly than a cream, so I would definitely consider this a jelly. It is going to have to be built up. You could layer glitter in between this for a nice like glitter jelly sandwich. So here's the second coat, and if you're not super picky, you could get away with 2 coats, but I am going to go ahead and show you what 3 coats looks like because I could still see through to my nail line. But this does have a nice formula. It's beautiful, it's squishy, it has all of the jelly components where it dries very glossy and it looks very just squishy and oceanic on your nails. So here's our third coat, and this does cover completely in 3 coats for me. Again, it dries glossy. I didn't have any staining with this, but I also didn't wear it for longer than just the swatch photo. So keep that in mind and wear a base coat because these colors do tend to stain. So there's 3 coats. Up next we have At Your Athleisure, and this is a nice light baby blue cream. Here's our first coat of At Your Athleisure. This goes on really, really smoothly. I love these light blue pastel-y shades. I feel like they're just perfect for the springtime and the winter, so they're a dual purpose for me, and this one has a fantastic formula, no running, pulling, anything like that. Easy to use, easy to work with, very beginner friendly this one is. It's a little bit on the thicker side as far as China Glaze goes, so that's really, really nice. This does cover completely in 2 coats for me as well, with doing thinner coats, so I think this is a solid 2-coater across the board. And once again, this does dry decently glossy on its own, though you will want a nice glossy top coat for longevity purposes, so there's 2 coats. Up next we have Glamletics, and this is a periwinkle-ish shade, periwinkle bluey, and it does have a purple shimmer that I just don't know about catching these shimmers. So here's our first coat of Glamletics, and this has much the same formula as the rest of the polishes in this collection. It has a smooth, buttery application, easy to work with, no running, pulling, anything like that. But if you work in thicker coats with China Glaze, you will probably have some issues with pulling into your cuticle area. So here is 2 coats, and this does cover completely in 2 coats for me with no staining here either. If you want that shimmer to stand out nicely in this one, you will want a nice glossy top coat, though this does dry glossy on its own, and it will be more contrasting as opposed to just a shimmer. It'll be a more contrasting shimmer if you want a matte top coat. So there's 2 coats. Up next is Barre Hopping, and this is a light lilac cream. Here is our first coat of Barre Hopping, and please ignore my terrible cuticles. I'm not sure what was happening this day, but I usually apply cuticle oil before my swatches. This does have a nice, smooth, buttery formula though. No running, pulling, very easy to work with if you work in thinner coats. It's just across the board, this collection has a fantastic formula. So here's our second coat, and this does cover completely in 2 coats for me, though depending on your application you may end up needing a 3rd coat. These all self-level really, really nicely as well, so if you see a couple patchy spots, give it a few seconds to dry. You may not need the 3rd coat, it may just have to self-level itself. This dries very glossy on its own as well. So there's 2 coats. Up next is Get It Right, Get It Bright, and this is a lavender cream with a strong pink shimmer. Here's our first coat of Get It Right, Get It Bright. Again, a fantastic formula, very easy to work with and easy to use. No running or pulling down the sides of your nails or into your cuticles or anything like that. And I see here that I did decide to put on cuticle oil after that last swatch. So here's our second coat, and this does cover for me completely in 2 coats. If you want more of that shimmer and you want more depth, you may want to end up going in for a 3rd coat. A nice glossy top coat will help that shimmer stand out, but if you want, again, that contrasting shimmer look, you will want a matte top coat. So there's 2 coats. Next up is Low Maintenance, and this is a pinky, putty, dusty cream shade. So here is our first coat of Low Maintenance. This has a phenomenal formula. No running or pulling, and these lighter colors like this do tend to be on the more sheer side. This one is on the more opaque side of the spectrum. It is a little bit thicker as far as China Glaze goes, but it's not thick by any means. It just makes it really easy to use. Here's our second coat, and this does cover completely in 2 coats for me. This one is absolutely blowing me away. This looks beautiful, both matte and glossy. It gives you that like nice mannequin hand look if you add a matte top coat to it, which I really appreciate. So there's 2 coats. Up next is Pretty Fit, and this is a nice dusty rose pink cream. Here's our first coat of Pretty Fit. And again, a great formula from China Glaze, no running or pulling, anything like that. You do have to work in thinner coats, otherwise it does have the tendency to run and pull. I did want to say this also sticks better to like a base coat or on the second coat if you do tend to work in thicker coats. If you have a base coat on, you won't have the running or pulling issue at all in general. This does cover completely in 2 coats for me, and it also dries very glossy on its own. If you want to get any wear out of it though, you will want a top coat. So there's 2 coats. And lastly for today we have Girl on the Go, and this is like a nutty brownish shade with a silver micro glitter. Here's our first coat of Girl on the Go, and this covers really well here on this first coat. If you're in a pinch for time, this could be a 1 coater for you. I am going to go ahead and show you what 2 coats looks like because I could still see just the faintest hint of nail line, but not terrible at all. So here's 2 coats, and this one does cover completely in 2 coats. I did have a couple of brush strokes hanging out from the first coat though, so be very careful about your base coat or about your brush strokes and just try to work in straighter strokes. So there's 2 coats. So there were a lot of goodies in this collection. For me, the first one being low maintenance. This is a color that I could wear every single day for the rest of my life and never get tired of. And for the color and the shade that this is, it has a phenomenal formula. So I am going to go ahead and say that one is my favorite, but I did have a couple of standouts. The first one being Athlete Chic. I wore this for a few days, and I really, really loved it. Like, I didn't want to take it off, but I had to for swatching purposes, but I did really enjoy this one. I also really enjoyed At Your Athleisure. I love these kind of blues, the light, icy, baby blues. They really called to me. This one had a great 2-coat formula, which isn't exactly common in mainstream polishes. And the last one being Pretty Fit. I love a pink polish, and this one had a great formula. It does lean a little bit more purple. So if I find a purple that I can wear, I really, really enjoy it. So those are my favorites and 4 standouts of this collection. And that is it. Let me know in the comments below what you guys thought of this collection. Let me know if you plan on picking them up, and let me know what your favorite was. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe if you'd like to see more from me, and I will talk to you again next time. Bye.